Rabbi Shochet?
Oh, Rabbi Raskin, good morning. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Good morning.
I see the Zilberstrom.
It's only half. Chetzi Hashem.
The other half is also a bit Hashem.
Also.
David Shochet is my uncle from my wife's side.
Good morning. How so?
Because my shver is Reb Nachman Sudak, Alav Shalom.
It's only half. Chetzi Hashem. Right. And then there is the Bogomilsky side. That's right. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Yes. So they're both uncles. Benachse Milug.
100%. Can I ask you two quick things? First of all, is there any way that you can increase your volume? It seems to be coming through quite soft.
If I hold the mic like this.
Oh, much better. Much better. The other thing, so if we can just, do you see at the bottom of your Zoom page that green arrow pointing up, share screen?
Yes. I tried it out last night, and I'm going to do that right now. Share. Okay. Good.
There you are. Perfect. So we're just going to wait another 2-3 minutes if you don't mind. I'm going to keep you logged in, but I'm going to you can deactivate your camera and I'll deactivate your mic, and I'll just wait till the room fills up a little bit more. In Le'erech, we're only scheduled to start in about 5 minutes. So in about 6-7 minutes, I'll message you or I'll drop you an email and we'll be ready.
I don't mind leaving it open. What's the?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would also, if this, well, can I see the participants?
Sorry?
Can I see the participants?
I'm not sure how it works on a webinar. I don't think that you could.
Okay.
What we've done previously throughout the shiurim, they have an option of sending through questions, which you'll probably be seeing popping up at the bottom in a chat. This thing they're called chat or Q&A. So that's a very easy way of people submitting questions, and also it comes to you or to myself, and that way it doesn't disturb the whole share. You have the choice of responding to them really at your convenience.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so in there 2-3 minutes, we should be ready to start.
Great. And how much time do you want this to go for?
Anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, great, perfect.
Okay,
I'm relaxed.
Looking forward soon. All right, gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to our Kinus Torah. A very, very warm welcome to Diane Ruskin, Diane and Rav of the Anash community in London, England, who's not only the halachic guide and mentor to the community in England, but far beyond, internationally, in fact, to shluchim around the world. He's authored quite a number of svarim that give guidance to countless day-to-day issues that shluchim face. But in addition to that, a particular area of guidance and of teaching, and I may say at this point, perhaps it's a little bit of a hobby also that Rabbi Ruskin has developed over a number of years, is the area of the Alter Rebbe Siddur, the history of the Alter Rebbe Siddur, how it's come to be, the precision of the Alter Rebbe's Nusach, and many, many issues, conversations and discussions and halachic topics that are associated with it. Many of you may be familiar with the magnificent sefer that Rabbi Ruskin authored on this, on the Alter Rebbe Siddur, big prominent orange or red color siddur that exists in many of our homes, one which is used frequently by any individual right there on the screen. Thank you, Diane Ruskin. And it is truly a kavod, it's truly a privilege and a pleasure to have Diane Ruskin join us from England at a slightly earlier hour than it is here. For that, we're truly appreciative and grateful. Mabruchim Abayim, Rabbi Ruskin, and we look forward to your share. Without any further ado, Diane Ruskin.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Rabbi Shochat, is this, are you able to record this?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know how to do it. And so Shalom Aleichem, Yedidim, Chaverim, Meirachik. I've never been to South Africa, and it's certainly exciting to be able to be there with you in these circumstances. And Bez Hashem, we should meet in a healthier circumstances. Perhaps I'll just give you a little bit of background why you said it's a hobby. It's probably more than a hobby. How you say it's a life vocation about the Siddur. I was 12 years old, and my late father-in-law, Nachman Sudak, Allah Shalom, he was our mashpia. This is in Tovshin Lamed Dalet. And he started pushing us one by one that we should ask the Rebbe about Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin. Now, this was unheard of a boy wearing Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin in the Lubavitch from Bar Mitzvah. But he if you look in the back of Lekut Sichas Chelik Beis, you see the stories during the Shiva of the Frierdiker Rebbe in Tovshin Yud. And the Rebbe says a comment, the Rebbe said he would have, if he would have the possibility, he would have introduced Rabbeinu Tam from Bar Mitzvah. So here, Rabbi Sudak has a Bar Mitzvah class for the first time in his, I think, in his career as shliach, etc. He has his Bar Mitzvah class, and he starts pushing us to ask the Rebbe about Rabbeinu Tam's. So, okay, so I went into the Rebbe with my father, Val Shalom. This is Chanukah, Tovshin Lamed Dalet, and I'd been pestering my father. This was before my Bar Mitzvah, the first time I saw the Rebbe. I pestered my father after asking Rabbeinu Tam's. So the Rebbe, my father asked, "Will Legen Rabbeinu Tam's?" So so the Rebbe says to my father, if he will commit himself not to have foreign thoughts, and I'll just say the Lashon in Yiddish now translate. When machshavas asuris redt man doch nicht, no machshavas reshus euch nicht. Forbidden thoughts is out of the question, but even arbitrary thoughts also not. Listen to that, guys. Yeah, it's doch nur 10 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes. Und der Eitet zu dem ist, reinzugucken in Siddur. Sei zu Shema Bohem Shemoya, sei zu Vayidam Bohem Kivyacha. The solution to this is that you should look into the Siddur for the various parshas which you read in Rabbeinu Tam's. Okay, and then the Rebbe asks, does he have his own tefillin yet? My father said no. So the Rebbe said, wait till he has his own tefillin. So I go back to London, order the pair of tefillin. Eventually, I got them and started wearing Rabbeinu Tam's. And then one after the other, Bochrim are asking the Rebbe about Rabbeinu Tam's, and then it comes Purim Tovshin Lamed Vov, and it's The Rebbe says it's all clear. No need to ask anymore. Everyone can put the Rebbeinu Tams from Bar Mitzvah. Fine. But meanwhile, I have got this condition of Nish Masiyach Das Zayin, no Machshavas Horas, And it was Tov Shin Lamed Zayin. I was ready in Yeshiva in Brunoir, and Reb Nissen was our Mashpia. And he gave us a rigorous preparation before we go into the Rebbe. And we went to Yechidus, so we had to present a sealed envelope from the Mashpia. So I don't know what was written there, but in my zettel I wrote that I feel I was apologizing, that I'm not keeping the condition. I was apologizing to the Rebbe. I'd made an agreement, a commitment. I'm not keeping the commitment. And of course, I was hoping that he would say, you're a cute kid. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Everyone's got it for free. You all got it for free. But, no such luck. So the Rebbe gave a brocha, as I had written in my zettel. And then he says these words, in reference to that which you asked about Rabbeinu Tam. If a foreign thought falls into your mind, you should raise your voice somewhat, and then you should, and that will drive away the machshava zara. So unwittingly, I just see this whole hobby, as you call it, as I gravitated to researching the Siddur as a bocher. This is going back already, more than 40 years, and if you are nowadays, everyone has the new Shulchan Aruch, which has got sources. In those times, going back even 20 years ago, you had no sources for the Siddur. For example, every Lubavitcher Bocher, how do you know Lubavitcher Bocher? You walk in the street, how do you know Lubavitcher Bocher? His shirt is sticking out, yeah? Why is his shirt sticking out? Because he has Tal's cotton, has to have a shear. Why? Because the Alter Rebbe says if the shear or the Tal's cotton is tzuknech, he's crumpled, it loses the shear. Where's he get it from? It's unique to Chabad, yeah? So there were no sources for this kind of thing. And I as a bocher, I was gravitating to find sources. And as I was a bocher on Shlichus in Melbourne, I published in the Yeshiva Kovetz sources for Hilchos Tzitzis in the Alter Rebbe Siddur. If I'm not mistaken, before I went out to Melbourne, I prepared this as a gift to the Rebbe, and he said, Shayach Likahos. Well, it was just, it's 20, 30 pages. At any rate, fast forward, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to give you the actual shir. Tofshin Nun Gimel. I had heard that the Rebbe, this is now, 10 years later, whatever. I had heard that the Rebbe, Rabbi Mangel, was in London, Rabbi Nissen Mangel, and he had said something that the Rebbe has, like he prepared notes on the Haggadah. The Rebbe has notes on the whole Siddur. And I had just been asked a Shaila about Tzitzis, about why the Alter Rebbe says you should have a blanket, cutting up the corner of the blanket, and I looked at it, I realized that with all my research, I didn't understand what was going on there. And I said, Halavai, we would have the Rebbe's biur on Hilchos, on the Siddur, and we can see a Psaklorkai and understand it. It's Tofshin and Gimel, yeah, the Rebbe is already incapacitated Begashmias. And so I wrote to the Rebbe and I asked, Ulai Achshadora, Ulai, perhaps the Rebbe will release his notes on the Siddur. I heard that the Rebbe has notes on the Siddur. Please allow us to see your notes on the Siddur. And I say this now, now Reb Leibel Groner just passed away, Allah Shalom, and I say this into his credit. So he read my zettel to the Rebbe, and at that time the Rebbe was responding by motions of the head. So he said that Raskin from London is asking about the Rebbe releasing his notes on the Siddur, and the Rebbe shook his Rosh HaKodesh to the negative. No. So then Reb Leibel, Allah Shalom, he says to the Rebbe, Zol Raskin in London, Mamshich sein in sein research, whatever words he used. So the Rebbe shook his head in the affirmative. So I had never asked him. I wanted the Rebbe's notes, but meanwhile, Rebbe Leibel asked whether I should have, I should continue my research, and I got in those circumstances, I got a haskama that the Rebbe said I should continue the research. And I see this all connected because the Rebbe said Arayin Kukin in Siddur, and so now we're going to do some Arayin Kukin in Siddur, and I've got an enormous passion for this. And when Rabbi Shochat asked me to give a shir, I thought, I'll share with you something which I think is a little bit of mokem hinichul his gader. I've got the something which I something very special to share with you. Okay, so now we've got the slide number 1. Slide number 1 is a quote from Sefer HaTorah. The history is that the Alter Rebbe's, the official date of the first print of the Alter Rebbe Siddur is Tov Kuf Samach Gimel. Don't ask me to transfer it into English years. It's just over 200 years ago, 217 years ago, in Shklov. And what was before then? So we have, if you know the story of Shimon HaKofer, there was a maskil by the name of Shimon of Zamut, and he clandestinely comes to Liozna, and he's verbringing with the Chassidim, and his story where he goes into the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe susses him out, and because this Shimon was sending boys from Vilna, sending them to Berlin, and they were becoming total apikursim. At any rate, so he, in his conversations with the Chassidim, like chatting with them, so he's saying how impressed he is with the Alter Rebbe's Nusach. Now this is in Tov Kuf Nun Beis. This is 10 years before the Siddur is printed. So what does it mean that the Chassidim had a Nusach at the time? So here you can read on your screen. I'm going to read the first paragraph. Ka'amur hispashit kvar ba'esahi Nusach hatfilo b'ksav yad. The Alter Rebbe's Nusach at that time had not been printed as a Siddur. It was in manuscript form. Mehem shikosfu hashinuyim b'siddur shar hashamayim shel hashalo shehu masim yoser lenusach Rabbeinu Hazaken. Some of them wrote them on the margins of the Siddur Shar Hashamayim the Shalom. Now, just for a moment, who is the Shalom we know lived approximately 300 years ago? He prepared a Siddur. It was when he emigrated to Eretz Yisrael. As you know, the Shalom is buried, I think, in Tveria. He emigrated to Eretz Yisrael. First, he lived in Yerushalayim, and perhaps for some reason he moved on to Tveria. I'm not sure about that history. But when he was in Eretz Yisrael in Yerushalayim, he put together the Siddur, and he called it Shar Hashamayim, because as we know, the pasuk goes there, Shar Hashamayim. Now, if you want to see this original Siddur, I've seen the first one was printed in Amsterdam, Tov Ayin Zion. The second one was printed in Amsterdam, Tov Kuf Beis. Imagine 2 Likutei Torahs. That's how big that Siddur is. So it's not exactly a pocket-sized Siddur. And the Chassidim, I guess, the ones who were more, who could afford it, would have a Shalosh Siddur, and they would write, the Chassidim shared the notes of the Alter Rebbe on the Siddur, and they wrote them on the margins of the Siddur Shar Hashamayim. Let's read further. Or they had just a regular Nusach Ashkenaz Siddur, and they would make the Alter Rebbe's emendations they would note them on the margins of their Ashkenaz Siddur. So this is the earliest record what we have of. So we have the Nusach. We have a typical chassid 200 and something years ago doesn't have a Alter Rebbe Siddur. He has a Ashkenaz Siddur. He has notes on the side, and then the Alter Rebbe Siddur comes and makes a chlorkite. You know, Siddurim have the least, shelf life of all Sfarim. To find a Siddur which from 250 years ago intact is a rarity, unless it's a Lomdischer Siddur, which is not for davening. But a davening Siddur people use, and then they consume it. After a few years, it's already put into shemus. So actually, the first edition of the Alter Rebbe Siddur was not known to exist 100 years ago. There's a letter of the Rebbe Rashab over 100 years ago. He says, I don't have a copy of the first print of the Siddur. Perhaps in the National Library of Petersburg, perhaps there is a copy of this Siddur. And I don't have a person to go there, whatever. Baruch Hashem, about 5 years ago approximately, in the Frierdiker Rebbe's collection of Sforim in Moscow, which are still Beshivya. But we were given access, and there was discovered a print of the Siddur, and it's pretty sure that it's Tov Kuf Samach Gimel, and the front has got a page. There's no the Sharblat. The first page is missing, but there's like a blank sheet with a handwritten note of the Frierdiker Rebbe that perhaps this is the Siddur from Shklov Tov Kuf Samach Gimel, and perhaps we'll get back to that. But this was an amazing discovery, that something which had been out of circulation for all these years, and now we have access to what was possibly or likely to be the first print of the Alter Rebbe, certainly a very early print. All right, let's get down to. So we're going to first introduce you to Siddur Shalom. Okay, so there we are. This is the Siddur printed in Amsterdam, in Holland. South Africa has a special shachas to Holland, yeah? You speak a very similar language, Nederlands, Afrikaans, yeah? So this is printed in Amsterdam, and this is the first print, as they say, Tov Ayin Zayin. We go then, this is just over 200 years ago, yeah? 203 years ago. Well, I'm corrected, it's just over 300 years ago. Tov Ayin Zayin to Tov Shin Ayin Zayin, it would be 300 years. Okay, now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because for me it's too small. There we are. Okay, so in the Gemara there's a discussion. Do we say Avas Oilam or Ahava Rabbo? And okay, and this is also a discussion in Chassidus, which is higher. Avas Oilam means a worldly love, and Ahava Rabbo is a great love. Or do you say Avas Olam is an eternal love? So therefore, Avas Olam is higher. But at any rate, there's a discussion. But Lahalocha, the Minig Nusach Ashkenaz is to say Ava Rabo Ahavtonu Hashem Elokeinu. Okay. Let's go down to the next slide. This is the second edition of the Siddur Shalom, printed also in Amsterdam by the company called Proofs, and it is in Tov Kuf Beis, printed 3 years before the Alter Rebbe was born. In Tov Kuf Heish, year Kahos, and let's see we're going to take one test page, yeah. And so we're looking now at the what does he say? The nusach is Ahava Rabbo. Okay. Now we then go on to. I'm going to go through Siddur Arizal. Siddur Arizal. The Arizal did not write a Siddur. The Arizal taught Kavonis al pi Kabbalah, and then his Talmidim were Mesader, the Kavonis. He's a prime Talmud, is Reb Chaim Vital, who wrote the Eitz Chaim, Pri Eitz Chaim, Sha'ar Kavonis, etc. But the Siddur Arizal in the form that you have a Siddur with the Kavonis on the margin, etc. That was a later development. There was no printed Siddur Arizal in the times of the Baal Shem Tov and not in the times of the Maggid. Whoever had a Siddur Arizal, it was a handwritten Siddur and it had to be copied over. The first print of the Siddur Arizal is in Zolkvi, Tov Kuf Mem Aleph. That's 4 years after the passing of the Mizritche Maggid. That's the first print of the Siddur Arizal. Another fascinating discovery, which we'll come to perhaps if we have time, is when in the last months of the lifetime of the Mizritche Maggid, the Alter Rebbe is Meshameshim. He's there in attendance. And then a new person came, a new Talmud came. His name was Rabbi Yisrael Hofman, otherwise known as the Koznitzer Maggid. The Koznitzer Maggid had the reputation that he was Boki in, I think, 800 Sifrei Kabbalah. Now, I don't even know the names of 100 Sifrei Kabbalah. He was Boki in 800 Sifrei Kabbalah. If you want to say it's an exaggeration, they don't say those exaggerations about me and most of us. So he was he was an enormous Boki in Kabbalah. He comes to the Maggid, and the Maggid says, Van Vista, where are you from? So he says he's from Koschnitz. So where's Koschnitz? Not far from Varsha. So then it's Ken Zayin that it could be that in the near future, we could have that in Varsha. Forgotten what it was. It was something that the Maggid said. That in Varsha they'll have that half of Varsha will start davening. They'll say that Keser instead of Nakdishach. Okay. And so because he was hoping that through this Kosher Maggid he will infiltrate the Derech HaChassidus and people will switch from Nusach Ashkenaz to daven Nusach Sfard and will say Keser instead of Nakdishach. Okay. Then there's this comment which the Mezritcher Maggid says to the Alter Rebbe, oh, jetzt haben wir ein Gemahn, was es können Magia sein, dem Siddur HaRizel, was es bei uns voranen. Now we have an opportunity to find a good candidate to edit the Siddur HaRizel, which I have. So the Maggid has a Siddur HaRizel in manuscript, and he's not satisfied with the quality of the work. And he wants someone who knows this stuff to go through it and edit it. And so now the Mezritcher Maggid entrusts his personal Arizal manuscript Siddur to the Koshitzer Maggid, and he says, work on it, develop it, edit it. Within the last 5 years, this Siddur, Ksav Yad, has emerged. It's been passed down. I'm not even sure who owns it, but I've been in contact with someone from the Vizhnitzer dynasty who has access to this Siddur. And they've published pages of it, of the manuscript, and they've noticed there's a handwriting there of the Koshitzer Maggid. And then here and there, they've noticed another handwriting. And that is, they've identified that's the handwriting of the Alter Rebbe. So here we have something which is an amazing discovery. It's been shrouded for 200 years. And we have here a Siddur from the Mezritcher Maggid, a Siddur Arizal manuscript, notes of the Koshitzer Maggid, and here and there a few little notes of the Alter Rebbe too, who worked with the Koshitzer Maggid at the time. So this is B'chayov of the Mezritcher Maggid, Tovkuf Lamed Beis, Tovkuf Lamed Gimel, and then years later, 30 years later, the Alter Rebbe prints his Siddur. Well, all right, let's go now to the next slide. This is the front page, the Shablat of the Siddur Jolkve and Tovkuf Mem Aleph. So let's now, we're going to our test page. We're going to look at the what are the instructions for Ahavas, for Ahavas Olam. So I'm going to, let's take a look at those lines. Ein lo yimar ava rabba b'chayil, ki b'Shabbos. On the weekdays, you shouldn't say ava rabba. Shabbos, you'll say ava rabba. Ava b'chayil, yoyma avas olam. On the weekdays, it's avas olam. Ki ava rabba is not tzilis. And b'krishma, we are still in the hecholos. We're not yet on the level of ava rabba. Therefore, ein ochin lo yimar ava rabba, ki avas olam, because that's ava zuta. And we're still becholos. He explains al pi Kabbalah that we should on weekdays say avas olam, and there you have the bottom of the page that we say in the weekdays it's avas olam. Okay, so now things are developing. If till now I was davening Nusach Ashkenaz in the Siddur Shaloh, so now the Alter Rebbe was known as a Shaloyid, yeah. So now the Pran B'Tovkuf Mem Aleph, they publish a Siddur Arizal, and now I see a new thing. No. In the weekdays it's Avas Olam, and in the Shabbos then it's Ava Rabba. Okay, things are moving. Tovkuf Mem Ches. 7 years later, Reb Osher, who lived in Brod, and he publishes a new edition, a second edition of the Siddur Arizal, and he bases himself on his predecessor, the one which was printed in Jolkve, but he felt it was lots of mistakes there, and so he publishes a new edition. So we have this edition. I saw the Rebbe's one in the Rebbe's library, bought from Bigeleisen on the Lower East Side. I'm not sure which year it was bought. Till recently, it was very rare to get hold of this Siddur, the print of Tovkuf Mem Ches. So now let's read the instructions. So he has the same, it's pretty much the same instruction that on the weekdays we say Avas Olam rather than Avarab. Okay. This is the second print of the Siddur Arizal. We then go on to the next slide where we have Siddur, So this is printed in Koretz. Help me, Tov Kuf Nun Daled. And this is, if you can see here, can you see my pointer? Can you see that? Can you see
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is put together by the Reb Shabsi of Rashkov. So the Reb Osher, who published that previous Siddur, was also connected to the Baal Shem Tov. But here we have the Siddur of Reb Shabsi, and of the 4 editions of the Siddur Arizal, this was the favorite of the Rabbeim, and the Rabbeim would have Tzemach Tzedek and the Friedrich Rebbe and the Rebbe, they would have the Siddur Reb Shabsi at their table at the Seder Nacht, and also by Tkiyas. By Tkiyas Shofar also would have the Siddur of Reb Shabsi. So this is this Siddur Reb Shabsi Mirashkov. As you see, it's printed Tov Kuf Nun Daled. Reb Osher had access to the manuscript of this when he worked on his edition earlier, but this was published, as you see, in Koretz and Tov Kuf Nun Daled. And now let's see what the instructions are here for Avos Olam. Okay, let's go up. Sorry. No. Tov Kuf Nun Daled. Oh, it's 6 years later. Memches to Nun Daled. Okay, there we are. So we have here again, he says, don't say Avarabo. Yeah, you should say Avos Olam. Okay, let's just go through that slide carefully. Is there something missing here? There's something here. Yeah, I'm missing the top of the page. Oh, here we are. That's what's he saying. Meanwhile, he's giving us the instruction to say as Avos Olam. Finally, this is the 4th edition of the Arizal Siddur, and that is published by Yaakov Koppel. And in Vishnitz, for example, this is the preferred edition of the Siddur Arizal. There's lots of differences, many differences between this Siddur and the other 3 Siddurim. Actually, all slightly different, but let's just look at our test page. So now, what does he say over here? Ein lo yimar aber rach abas olam. And so here we have whereas in Nusach Ashkenaz we'd be saying aber rabba, but in Nusach Arizal we're saying Avos Olam. Here at this stage, it's not clear what they're saying about Shabbos. In the first 2 editions, it says Shabbos, you should say Avarabba. Here they're just saying the weekdays you should say Avos Olam. Okay, so here we have the top of our slide here. Sorry. So here, the top of the slide here, this is, as I said before, the blank page, which is like the cover for the Siddur which was discovered in Moscow. Those few years ago, and this is the handwriting Xavier Kodesh of the Friedrich Rebbe, Siddur Admur, Kaniret Fus Shklov. So it's not with total confidence, but assumption that this is. I've lost my page. Just a second. Yeah, Kaniret Fus Shklov, and now we'll appreciate this note over here. Now I can appreciate. Now, what's he saying over here? Until now, it was not clear. There was Nusach Ashkenaz Avarabo. Then we have a difference between Shabbos and weekdays. And here we have a new clear directive. No, it's always Avos Olam. So now, with all this background, you appreciate that one line. Okay. So this is, as I say, this was printed in Shklov Assumption, in Shklov Tov Kuf Samach Gimel. The 3 years after the Alter Rebbe passed away, the Mittler Rebbe starts publishing, in a phenomenal way. He was most prolific in publishing of all the Rabbeim until perhaps a previous Frierdiker Rebbe's door, but really a prolific publishing. And he publishes a siddur of his father, of the Alter Rebbe. He published it in Kopust, Tovkuf Ein Vo, and this is the siddur with Chassidus, Siddurim Dach. So the nusach is the same nusach. There are several, many changes, but basically it's the Alter Rebbe's nusach, the same nusach. And so here, let's take a look at our test page. So there it is in that, from that siddur of Tovkuf Ein Vo. Gam b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov Oimrim Avos Olam Lo Ya'avor Rabba. So this is in Tzvish Chassidim, when we talked about the Alter Rebbe siddur, we were referring to we normally would be referring to the siddur im Dach, the siddur with the Chassidus. Let's move on. Perhaps the most significant pioneer in researching the Alter Rebbe siddur is the Rebbe's Elter Zeder, who's known as Rav Rom David Lavut. He was a Rav in Nikolaev, and a very Mesudic type of person. He published a sefer called Kavnoki, which any Bezdin which deals with Gittin today will have it in in their they'll use it for the processing of a get, was on the. But meanwhile, he researched the Alter Rebbe siddur, trying to find sources, and he published a siddur together with, he called it at first Shar HaTfilah or Shar Tfilah, and then later he publishes in Tovkuf Memtes, I believe, he publishes the Siddur Torah. Now this front cover is not the original front cover, not front page, as you can see the Kahos style of the front page, but he called it Torah because for every every posuk or every Mishnah, he has in the footnotes, he has a source where he got it from. So like in the Gemara, the psukim, the references to the psukim are called Torah. So he called the Siddur Torah. It's also, as you see, called Tfilas Yisrael. But no, if you ask what Tfilas Yisrael said, I don't think anyone will know what you're talking about. So let's see what for our test page. So here again we have, and this is this copy of the kind of Siddur which the Rebbe used for davening. When I was a kid, you never know. I had hardly ever seen a Siddur Torah. It was published in Tovshin Zion, and then it was the next time it was published Tovshin Mem Zion. So really, as Torah Siddur was something which was a rarity, and but the Rebbe had the Torah Siddur, and this is the same page where you have the same emphasis. Gam b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov Abbas Olam no Avarab. Let's move on. So there we have the Shar HaKolel, which is the as I said, this is his second edition of Lavut's research on the Siddur. Let's move on to the next slide. Here's a fascinating sikha. It's talking about I think it's the sikha. I think it's about Hachonos for Tkiyas. At any rate, the Rebbe says here an interesting understanding. There's a gavra and there's a chefsa. We're not expected, all of us, to daven with the kavonos of the Arizal, but the siddur which we use is a siddur with the kavonos of the Arizal, and somehow through this we are connecting with those kavonos, even though we don't have those kavonos consciously, but by using the Alter Rebbe siddur, which is based upon kavonos Arizal, so we are somehow connecting with it. And you can read this slide more carefully at your leisure. Let me just see where it is, the source. I'm going to have to just enlarge it to see where it is. So it's in Chelik Lamed Tes of Lekutei Sichos, page 67. Okay, is it 67? Whatever. It's in Chelik Lamed Tes, and I think it's about the kavonos of Tkiyas Shofar, the Hachonos for Tkiyas Shofar. Let's move on. So then, I've showed you this before. This is published about 17 years ago. This is put together. Kindly Kahos took it under their wing to publish this research. And in the last 6 years, I've been working on a new edition, and that's been taking a long time. It's now, Baruch Hashem, getting closer. It's in the hands of the editors, and hopefully within the next year, we should see this going to print. The new edition, which will be, if this was a big volume, The next one, we had complaints, it was too large, so it's going to have to be 2 volumes. Not 2 Likkutei, but it's going to have to be a couple of volumes. Okay, now here let's go through some very interesting developments. Now, you guys are after davening, I believe, yes? I'm before davening. On my street, I'm in Bnei Brak, by the way. What I mean is, I'm not in Bnei Brak, I'm in London, but I'm a real Hamish area, and we've had minyanim on the front, in our front gardens. Everyone's got these little Heiskalach in London. We don't have like suburban, lots of lawns. Kleine Heiskalach, one after the other. Also in Williamsburg, also in Borough Park, and Crown Heights Euchet, yeah, but small houses, and everyone's got a front gardens, bayit vegan, and standing outside, and each one is in our front garden, and we're davening 3 times a day on the street. So ich halt for davening on Yom Tov. There's about 20 people, 25, 30 people. I'm one of the only ones who's not wearing a shtreimel. At any rate, so ich halt for davening. So all right, I want to ask you. You say you've said already Adonai Olam. B'yodoi afkid ruchi. Now let's go Pirush HaMilos. B'yodoi afkid ruchi. In His hand, in Hashem's hand, I entrust my spirit. Be'es ishon v'ya'ira. When I go to sleep and when I wake up, I entrust my spirit to Hashem. Explain to me, please. When I go to sleep, I understand. We say also the pasuk b'yodecha afkid ruchi, padisa oisi. Yeah, I entrust my spirit because I'm releasing. I'm going to sleep. But what does it mean? B'yodei afkid ruchi be'es ha'ira. When you wake up, you're reclaiming. What's it mean? Be'es ishan v'ya'ira. Problem. So this question, I'm sorry about the blurry thing, but this question, the top of your slide, is a quote from the Siddur Shalom. And he says, he struggles with this. And he says, Yesh medabkim va'ira l'tebas ishon. Chein moire acharuz. But then it should have been in Ishon bepasach, be'es Ishan. Yeah. The wording should be be'es Ishon. In Hashem's hands I entrust my spirit when I go to sleep. And I wake up and my spirit is together with my body. Hashem that Hashem is looking after me, I have nothing to fear. If that's the case, then the punctuation doesn't fit. If the pause should be between Ishan and V'ha'ira, so then why is it Ishan? It should be Ishan. In the print of Tov Kuf Samach Gimel, in the Shklov, it's talking with the comets. Be'ez Ishan. Takia, for the rhyming, it has to be V'ha'ira, has to be part of that stanza. But the correct reading is Be'ez Ishan. What happened in later prints, the second one is a print from, I think it's already the second print of Kafayim Vov, and they forgot about this, and they changed it back to a Pasach. Sometimes people correct things, yeah? If I cared, it was right with the comments, Be'ez Ishon, and that's what the Shaloi is sensitive to. He says, if you're going to put the pause between Ishon and Va'ida, it should be Ishon rather than Ishan. Okay, let's go on to another interesting thing. Right, we have in Brich Shmei Demori Olmo. Brich Shmei Demori Olmo, we say when we take out the Sefer Torah, it's generally attributed to be from the Zohar, although I've read a very good academic article recently which says it's actually a tefillah, which was then somehow put into copies of the Zohar. Doesn't matter. With the Poil, we all say Brich Shmei every time by Kriyas Torah. And so we have here, I know after the Kutchabrichu, I am a servant of the Eibush, the Holy One, blessed be He. This Sagid no Kome, I bow before Him, Umikame Dikar Iraise, and I bow before His precious Torah, Bechol Idon Beidon at every moment. And we're all familiar with that niggin, which was the Rebbe turned on one Shavuos, I think, to Reb Zalman Teibel, and he asked him to sing a niggin, and he's by the table upstairs. By the Yom Tov meal, and he started doing, I know, how the good so get no come, right? Say, yeah. So and that fascinating because Zalman Teibel sang the niggin by the table, and the following day the Rebbe has this amazing sikha about the inyan of Ano Avdu the Kutchabrich. It's like a mamash a moiridik sikha. Anyway, so we know that how normally in most sidurim the punctuation is the bechol idon veidon belongs to the above sentence, that I prostrate myself before Hashem and before His holy Torah. Bechol idon veidon. In that's now the top of the page, that is the shklov print. The lower part of the page is the Tov Kuf Ayin Vav, the second print from Kopust. And here the punctuation has changed. As you see here, the punctuation has the punctuation has changed. No, so our scholars have waxed eloquent whether this, which one is the mistake. Was it that the printer in Kopust got his act wrong? But what I can tell you is that when the Rebbe got into the picture and is the editor of the Sidurim, or whatever was published by Kahos, and you can see there was a book which was published by Rebel Levin about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, of Hagos L'Sidur Rabbeinu Azokin, of all the notes which the Rebbe had as he was preparing to print the Torah Siddur and this Rastov Siddur and the Tilas Hashem Siddur. Every one of Kahos's prints, it's the punctuation is that the Bechol Idon Ve'idon, it belongs to the next sentence. All right, so I'm going to take the view that this is Meduyik. Bechol Idon Ve'idon it belongs to the next sentence. It was the pshat. The pshat is, as someone's already, I think, already noted by Rabbi Shmuel Pesach, Rabbi Gemilski has also written about this years ago. Sven Lebedik, at any rate. So he, the word is like this. Read that sentence. I am a servant of the Holy One, blessed be He. That I bow before Him. You're bowing down to the Torah the whole time. When you take out the Sefer Torah, there is a whole regime in Likutei Diburim of the Seder of the Rabbeim. The crown prince would be given psicha. By the Frierdiker Rebbe, Bechayv of the Rebbe Rashab, and so on, would go for Psicha. And so the Rebbe Rashab at Psicha Sa'orin, he would bow slightly, imperceptibly. He would have this little bow towards the Sefer Torah. That's the Sagid no Kam become the Kairaise. To say B'chol Idon Ve'idon, you're bowing down to the Sefer Torah, it's actually not accurate. So here we have a change. Alter Rebbe, after the first print, says no, we should put the punctuation differently. I say, yeah. So the punctuation is that little change, so that to say that the bowing down is only is not the whole time, but it's only. I want to just look at someone to ask a question. Now, how do I see that question?
The question that came through was, what was the reason that in Adon Elam, the Rebbe changed from B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra to B'terem Kol Yitzur Nivra?
Okay, all right. Unprepared as I am, but as I said, it's a hobby, so this is... So everyone can hear the question. The question was, Yitzur Nivra or Yitzir Nivra? Okay. This goes a little bit of history. About a generation before the Alter Rebbe is born, you have a person, here you have his name on the screen, look at that, Reb Zalman Henna. The Zalman Henna is a master medactic. Now, he's a genius in Dikduk, and he published a Siddur, and he published lots of works, critique on the Siddur, and to make it more. He had the mazel that there was someone by the name of Rabbi Yaakov Emden, who Rabbi Yaakov Emden was. He did not shy away from telling Zog the Memes as he thought. As you know, his relationship with Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz and others. At any rate, Rabbi Yaakov Emden puts together a whole sefer of refutations to the Chidushim of Reb Zalman Henna. And that's called Luach Eres. It's been published in the last 10, 15 years. I have a new edition. But yeah, and by mere kisofik that when the Alter Rebbe works on the Siddur, and we know the Rebbe said many, many times over the tradition that the Alter Rebbe, when he works on the Siddur, he has 60 different Siddurim, which he's researching. And then there's another Girsa, he had 36. Anyway, for sure the Alter Rebbe was researching, and by Mirka Sofaknisht, that the Alter Rebbe used Reb Zalman Henna's works when he was researching and getting this Siddur put together, b'diuk. And Reb Zalman Henna is the one who comes up with the Chiddush that it should be b'terem, that the word is Yitzur, not the word Yitzir. The word should be Yitzur, and so that's one of the changes. It's not the Alter Rebbe's Chiddush, it's Reb Zalman Henna. You can look it up in his Sharet Pillar. Okay, I hope that's enough to answer that question. So here we have in benching. Okay, let's take a look. Now, another beautiful thing which has been published within the last 20 years. The Arizal, I said before, did not publish a Siddur, did not write a Siddur, but he taught Kavonis. Now, the Arizal said, and many things he said, you should say this word like this, that word like that. What was the Siddur which the Arizal himself used? When Reb Chaim Vital says, my Rebbe told me to change this word, what was the default? Which Siddur did he have? So it's clear that it's already on record that he used the Siddur which was published in Venezia, Reish Pei Dalet. So now we have access. Anyone who's got Otzar HaChochmah can access this Siddur, which was published in Venice, Reish Pei Dalet, and this is the edition which was used by the Arizal and used by Reb Chaim Vital. So now I'm going to take here, as you see here, this is from Birchas Hamazon. Oh, sorry. Reish Pei Dalet was Reish Pei Dalet is about 20 years before the Arizal passed away. Yeah, Arizal passed away. Shin Lamed Gimel. Reish Pei Dalet is 50 years. So yeah, it was printed a little bit before the Arizal. Okay, so now we're looking at benching. Royeinu Roye Yisrael. Royeinu Roye Yisrael Hamelech Hatoy VaMeitiv Shebechol Yoim VeYoim. The Eibishter is our shepherd. Shebechol Yoim VeYoim Hu Meitiv Lanu Hu He Heitiv Lanu Hu Yeitiv Lanu. Yeah, you recognize that passage. You can see a couple of changes. Let's take a look carefully. Shebechol Yoim. We have Bechol Yoim. Yeah, we'll see that in a moment. But meanwhile, Shebechol Yoim Hu Meitiv, present tense. Hu Heitiv, past tense. Hu Yeitiv is future tense. So that's the Sfardi Nusach printed in Venice, Reish Pei Dalet. Then we have now the Ashkenaz Nusach, as you see, printed by Reb Zalman Henna. Hamelach Hatoy VaMeitiv Shebechol Yoim VeYoim, in that same words. Hu Heitiv, Hu Meitiv, Hu Yeitiv Lanu. Now the Ashkenaz, as you know, they drop the word Lanu twice. Okay, but they've got Hu Heitiv, past, present, future. Now let's try to read that sentence, the Ashkenaz sentence in English. Let's go to the Sfard first. Shebechol yoim v'yoim hu meitiv lanu. Every day Hashem is being good to us. Not only is He good in the present, hu heitiv, that was in the past, and hu yeitiv, and we express our prayer that should be for the future. Hu yeitiv lanu. But let's go to the Ashkenaz. Shebechol yoim v'yoim hu heitiv, hu meitiv, hu yeitiv lanu. Can you read that sentence in straight English? Every single day He is good, was good, will be good. It doesn't flow. You can't say that every day. Who yativ lanu. You can't say doesn't read smoothly. You can shebechol yom v'yom deal with the present, but Ashkenaz have followed the past, present, future flow. So this is the Alter Rebbe is dealing with. So we as Chassidim from Europe, from Russia, from Ukraine, we were davening Nusach Ashkenaz. And then comes the Mizritche Magid, and he says, Chassidim should daven Nusach Sfard. And here we've got this whole hodgepodge, which, we don't know what we're doing. you have, I'm listening to the Nusach. I'm digressing for a moment, but this is, you know, in one classic example. Ashkenaz finish off Shema Keleinu ki ata shemet filas amcho Yisrael barachmim. Sfard ata shemet filas kol peh. Nusach Sfard Chasidi goes ki ata shemet filas kol peh amcho Yisrael barachmim. So you have this kind of hodgepodge of bringing together Ashkenaz and Sfard, and the Alter Rebbe. This is part of his Alter Rebbe's effort to machen psashtikal seder dot, to make it readable. So now let's take a look what the Alter Rebbe did here, and he changed from al rishonim. Kimat, I can't look what he did. Hamelech hatoiv v'hameitiv lakoil b'chol yoyim v'yoyim. Whereas everyone else has hametiv lakoil shebechol yoyim v'yoyim, who made that shebechol yoyim v'yoyim is referring to the future, to the following sentence. The Alter Rebbe put in pintelach. He put in the dot, the punctuation. B'chol yoyim v'yoyim belongs to the previous thing. Hamelech hatoiv v'hameitiv lakoil b'chol yoyim v'yoyim. End of sentence. With this, he broke up the sentence and to make it readable in Nusach Ashkenaz. So the sequence, the timing, past, present, and future remains as Nusach Ashkenaz. He's retained the Nusach Ashkenaz, but by taking off instead of She B'chol Yoyim, making it B'chol Yoyim and putting the punctuation there, he sorted out. It makes sense. So this is a fascinating. Without going through comparing it with a tooth comb, you would never pick this up. But that's what I was doing, as you say, a hobby, with a tooth comb to compare these tiny differences between Ashkenaz and Sfard and Alter Rebbe's Nusach. Let's go on to another one. Oh, I did that already, didn't I? So what was this one? We did Adon Olam. We did the benching one, and then we did about the B'chol B'idon. Here we have Honor B'choyach. Very relevant now, especially in Sfira Zeit. We're saying Honor B'choyach every day. Okay, I'm challenging you, and anyone who wants can respond. Can you see the difference between the first slide, the upper copy? This is from Shlov Tov Kuf Samach Gimel, and the second one, which is from Tov Kuf Ayin Vav, from the second edition, which we have. Same Honor B'choyach, same words. What differences do you see? No? The wording is exactly the same. What differences do you notice? No? Okay. Okay.
One response that came through pointed out the last line.
What's the difference? I don't see the difference. Okay. All right. So I'm going to point out to you. Do you notice the dots? The nekudas. On the B'chayach dot, Gedos Yemincha dot, Kalbarinas dot, Am Chosagvenu 2 dots, Dorshe Yichudcha dot, Rachmitzit Koscha dot. Yeah, you see those dots? Yeah. And all those dots have been taken out in the second print. Or the subsequent print, yeah? Now, according to Kabbalah, this is a fascinating thing. According to Kabbalah, it should go the Kabbalah and say it should be in 2 word sequences. On the B'choyach 2 words, you should pair them up. Now, in Pshat, doesn't read. Ono B'choyach. It doesn't read. Ono, please, B'choyach Gedulas Yimincha, with the power of your great right hand, Tatet Tzururo, you should untie the one who is bound. Kabel Rinas, Amcha Sagben. It doesn't read. Kabel Rinas Amcha, accept the song of your people. Sagvenu, exalt us, Taharenu, purify us, Noira, O awesome one. So here we have an amazing situation where the Alter Rebbe has got here a Sirapi Kabbalah, and he wants to make it Shav L'chol Nefesh. So in the first print, he did it according to Kabbalah. He put those dots in, but it's not Shav L'chol Nefesh. You can't read it. You can't, the pshat, it doesn't go. Of course, the Honor B'choyach is only in order to create the shemus, which are at the end of the line, which we don't pronounce. So the Honor B'choyach is actually to formulate that Rosh Tevis. But yeah, when you read it, you have to understand what you're saying. So you can't have those dots there. the Alter Rebbe in the second print says, no. I'm speculating, yeah? Now he says, take out those dots. Where's the dots? It's not Shavuot L'chol Nefesh. So it's taken out. Oh, you can't Kabbalah. If you're into Kabbalah, you'll manage both, yeah? You can think both things at the same time. Oh, all right. Here, and we have here a little note, which is printed in the on the page by Musaf. Is it by Musaf or by Shachris? About the switch over. And so here we have a halacha, and so I'm going to first read from the Chaya Odom, which is published in the Alter Rebbe's Times, I think. And he says, this is Shmini Atzeres, yeah, that the announcement should not be just Masha Baruach. That's not good enough. It has to be, because there are places where they say in summer also Masha Baruach. Have you ever heard of this? Anyone? Have you ever heard of people saying in summer Masha Baruach Merit Atol? Now there's a small minority of Kehillas which do that. But now at the top of the page we have the Alter Rebbe's Nusach, where he says, the whole discussion, but he says, there's a din of ein maskirin gvuras gshomim until it's announced. There has to be an announcement halacha. The Alter Rebbe says, Masha Baruch doesn't count as an announcement because it's not talking about Gershon. There has to be a hachroza gvuras gshomim. Therefore, he says, instruction for the Gabber. If you're a Gabber somewhere out there, you have an instruction for the Alter Rebbe. When you make your announcement, Masha Baruch is not adequate. You have to say also Merit HaGeshem. So this is a little instruction. Okay. Here, this, as I mentioned before, a Ksav Yad Siddur of the Mizritch Magid, and this is a copy of that manuscript. V'chein tzadikim yiru v'yismachu v'yishorim yaloizu. So we have here some kavanos on that. All right, well, I'm running a little bit late. Here we have also another siddur which was discovered in the collection in Moscow, and that's a siddur from Tov Reish Chov Ches. Much later, it's a siddur which, as you can see, has the stamp. It belonged to the Rebbe Maharash, and you can see this online. It's available. Anyone can access it, and there are hundreds of little corrections. It's not. I must say, it's not a very accurate siddur, and but that was what you had available. And there are hundreds. The corrections are not in the Rebbe Maharash's handwriting, but they are. It's very already here. Rav Rom David Lavut is involved in this edition. But he only publishes his Shari Tefillah many years later. My last slide, I'm going to finish off with. So here we have. This is not the Alter Rebbe Siddur. This is from the Kahos Siddur, and you can see on the right side of the page is the Aleph base as it is in the Torah Ur Siddur, and then you have on the left side of the page the Aleph base as it is in the Tilas Hashem Siddur. Now, I heard from a Melamed, I think his name is Smith. A Melamed who lives in New York. He went into Yechidus and he asked the Rebbe. He's a Melamed and he teaches children Aleph base, and he wants to be able to test the children if they they can read the Aleph base, but they can say just by rote, by parrot fashion. So he wants to hear them if they can read the letters vertically. So now go down the page instead of just across the line. So he wanted to kind of prepare a luach for his class, whatever, with the Aleph base, but he wanted to make some adjustments. So he says to the Rebbe in his Yechidus, he says he wants to print this chart with Machan Shinuyim. So the Rebbe said, the Rebbe was concerned about him making Shinuyim to the Siddur. So the Melamed said, Ich mein nicht, I know that the Seder of the Nekudas, the Seder of the Nekudas is Al Pi Kabbalah. That's what the Melamed says to the Rebbe. And I'm not thinking about that. He explained what he wants to do. And so the Rebbe gave him, he wanted to move out the Shi and Tov Tov, that they should be like in line with the other boxes. Okay, so that's his Yechidus. A few weeks later, he wakes up in the middle of the night and he can't sleep. And he goes over to his library and he takes out a sefer from Reb Pinchas Koritzer. And here you see the quote from Reb Pinchas Koritzer, which he discovers that night. But Tzorich Lodas B'ni, sheyesh b'chof beis oisus haTorah. But the Rebbe told him not to tamper with the layout as it is in the Tilas Hashem Siddur. Now listen to what he says here. That the 22 letters of the Torah are divided into Din, Rachamim, Zoch, and Akeva. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dal, Hevav is Heim, Rachamim, Gmurim. Zayin, Ches, Tes, Yud, Chav, and Chav. Heim, Rachamim, Stam. Lamed, Mem, Samach, Nun, Samach, Ayin is Din, Stam. And Pei, Tzadik, Kuf, Reish, Shin, Tov is Din, Gomer. So it's fascinating that you compare the layout of the Aleph base in the Torah Siddur and the layout of the Aleph base in the Tilas Hashem Siddur. And you see how the layout in the Tilas Hashem Siddur, which the Rebbe edited, is mechuvan, is perfectly matching the distribution of Chesed, of Din and Rachamim and Zoch and Akeva as it is by the Koshnitzer Magid. Pinchas Koritz. I'm mixing up Koshnitz and Koritz. So it's just an appreciation of the diuk when the Rebbe says don't tamper with the way it is in the Siddur, and so it's you got Pshat Remez Drush and Sod, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I wish you all a guten Moed and a word from Rebbe kosher and freilich and Pesach. If you put in every effort, as soll sein a kosher and Pesach, and so you should have also freilich and Pesach, freilich and Yom Tov. And this year I'm using another girsa, a kosher and a gesunten and a freilich and Yom Tov. Rabbi
Raskin, a very, very big thank you. If I can just ask you one of the questions that did come through. Our minig is to view the Rosh Tevis of the Ona B'Choyach, the Aleph Beis Gimel, etc. While we're saying it, it's to look at those Rosh Tevis. One of the questions that came through is Friday night before L'Chadodi in our Sidurim, the Ona B'Choyach also appears, but absent of the abbreviated on the B'Choyach to which to look at. Is that accurate? Is that not accurate? Can you comment on that?
Okay, very good. Let me just. I'm using now that I have my Torah Siddur in front of me, and I'm just turning to the right page. In the Torah Siddur, it is there. The Kavanas are there. So I would venture to say it's inaccurate. I haven't to hand the annotated edition, which was published about 15 years ago. I was quite involved with that edition, so I'm curious to see what it has over there. But certainly it should have the Rosh Tevis there. Then one more comment on this, that our minig is to say that Ona B'Choyach quietly. I know in Africa, in South Africa, there's Friday night is a big time when people come to daven, to shul, and I'm sure there's lots of singing, and there is certainly a temptation to sing Ona B'Choyach, but the Chabad minig is to say it quietly. And I have them in my notes, which as Hashem be in the new edition of the Siddur, where the Rebbe has a note for himself, Shailus Shaloi Anisi Aleim. 2 questions which I haven't answered, and one of them is, what's the reason for our minig for not saying Ona B'Choyach aloud? If it's got to do with the Kedushas Hashem, because of Hoig Hashem by Yosef, etc. So what's the difference between this Ona B'Choyach and anywhere else? And the Rebbe does not give an answer. So I'm going to leave you with that question, and perhaps ten l'chacham v'yach kamoed.
And just share one more that's come through.
Any more questions?
Come through with regards to B'nai Chol. Again, gentlemen, if you'd like to, you can continue submitting your questions through. If Rabbi Raskin has time and he's willing. The B'nai Chola on Shabbos afternoon. It seems that in the Art Scroll edition and possibly others, it tells us for Ha'azmin Atik Yomin Lemincha Adei Yehoin Chalfin, whereas in our Sidurim it's Lemitzcha Adei Yehoin Chalfin. I'm not sure if I lost you on my connection there. And I believe, gentlemen, that Rabbi Raskin has signed out. A big yasher koach for joining us. Wishing you a good moed and a good Yom Tov.